It is now time to review New Japan Pro Wrestling's very first US-based show of the year, Battle in the Valley 2025, which happened at the San Jose Civic Center in San Jose, California on January 11, 2025. Of course, we've been saying 2025 quite a bit, but we will continue to say 2025. At least I'm not saying 2024, trying to, stay stuck in the past or whatever. That's not what you're getting here today. 1,483 tickets were distributed for the show according to WrestleTix. Now this is a same day update from WrestleTix. So from January 11, it is the 12th today. I'm recording this on Sunday. So maybe by the time you're listening to this, there's been a final count and we have a better idea of how many people showed up for the show, or at least how many tickets were put out there. But as it stands, I don't think there's going to be like this tremendously huge movement of people that are suddenly going to flow to the arena especially when you consider how much better Battle in the Valley 2024 performed attendance-wise, which was around 2,145 tickets distributed. Again, always according to WrestleTix. So, I mean, it'll probably be slightly higher, but I don't think there's going to be an incredible amount of movement. And the difference is significant. Of course, we're not dealing with the same type of show as we did last year, at least in regards to the number of people, at least to the people who were on the show. There was the Kazuchika Okada Will Ospreay match, which was terrific. I know John Moxley was there versus Shingo Takagi. You had Eddie Kingston and Gabe Kidd, who were like in the midst of their feud. So there were a lot of stars that people outright paid to see coming together for the show. So I can understand a bigger, better attendance last year as opposed to this year, where the stars just aren't there. We've talked about why multiple times on the show. We don't have to go over all the details, but and it's a story right now in New Japan, how there are no drawing stars left. They've either left the company or they're injured so bad that they're held together by tape and twine, or just are unable to do it anymore. So that's the situation that New Japan has to deal with. Of course, we have to be realistic here at the same time and realize that this show number, this attendance, doesn't help Zack Sabre Jr.'s case as a draw, which I don't think is very good to begin with. I mean, as it stands right now, Zack, since he's won the title, hasn't created this incredible shift in business. It's just been very fine, but nothing extraordinary. Like, I don't think this adds to his case of him being a draw. You could argue that this kind of stuff takes a while, especially when you're trying to establish someone new as champion. But I would, and you'd be right, by the way. But I would also counteract with that by asking, does New Japan have the time to sit back and develop a top champion? But then you can also say, who is the draw in New Japan these days? Like we said, and this is a common theme on the podcast and everything, whenever we talk about drawing numbers here, Tetsuya Naito is falling apart at the seams. He's going to be put in a tag team clearly for at least sometime the foreseeable future, which makes a lot of sense because he can still show up on shows. He can still draw because he is for all intents and purposes the only real draw they have left in the company. But he can't go anymore. Hiroshi Tanahashi, well, he's going to be a draw for the rest of the year, one would assume, because most of his destinations are going to be his final appearances or his final matches with certain people. So there's going to be that appeal that's going to carry. But you're not coming in here to see prime 2010 Ace or 2012 Ace. You know what you're getting into with a Hiroshi Tanahashi match in 2024. So if you're not booking these guys as often because, reasons, and if you don't have anyone ready to step up and take the place as the top draw, then what are you going to do? What are your options? So, I want to be clear. I'm saying this because I want to be clear that I don't think it's a horrible idea to put Zack Sabre Jr. in that spot, because I don't see who else it could be. I think that whether you put Zack or Shota or Suji or anyone else, I think it's the same result. You just end up with you end up with middling gates, because right now the company doesn't have any big stars who can go and who can create these memorable New Japan main events. That's just me. Anyway, business side out of the way, we can start talking about this show. This show, which, you know what, I really liked. I thought this was a really good show. There's some tremendous matches that happen here. I gave a lot of 4-star matches here. Plus, 4-star plus. I thought there was a lot of stuff that is really worth your time. This is a good wrestling show. I was not upset. I wasn't bored. And au contraire, I was highly, highly, highly entertained by everything I saw in this. Most of everything. But the whole package deal, I thought this was a really good wrestling show. So out the gate, if you're like looking for a recommendation, Warren, should I watch it? Just go ahead and watch it. And it's not, it's not a pay-per-view. It's like it's included with your New Japan World subscription, and you will be highly entertained by this show. I think this is like the second New Japan American show in a row, right? Which is really really good, right? The last one was their names are so hard, I find, to remember. The last one was Strong Style Evolved, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, it was Strong Style Evolved, which was a very good show as well. It was we had Mercedes Moné and Hazuki in the main event, which was tremendous, right? And then and before that was Fighting Spirit Unleashed, which was that really dreadful show, that really hard to watch show from Lowell, Massachusetts. Like, that one was a rough one, but Strong Style Evolved was a really good show, and we're getting another one, second one in a row for the USA shows, where you're like, ah, damn, this is really, really good. So let's get into it. Full disclosure, I did not watch the pre-show. I did not watch the pre-show. I did not see Zane J defeating Viento. Sorry about that. Viento, who, by the way, is, I believe that's Rey Mysterio's cousin, right? That's Rey Mysterio Jr.'s cousin. And he used to wrestle, or he used to, I don't know, maybe he still does in some parts, but he also wrestles as El Hijo de Rey Mysterio, right? Yeah, I'm sorry. I have no thoughts there, because I didn't watch the match, nor did I watch the TMDK duo of Bad Dude Tito and Shane Hayes taking on Matt Vandegrift and Fred Rosser. Yeah, sorry about that. You won't be getting any pithy thoughts on any of that. I will say, kind of disappointed I missed some Bad Dude Tito action, but you can't win them all. We're gonna jump around the card here. Like, the card positioning was a little unusual, or at least not what I was expecting. How about that? So we're gonna jump around a little bit, and I think we're going to start with a match that should be on the business end of the card, but opened up the show. And considering the result, I understand why they opened the show with this as opposed to having it main event, so it makes sense. So I think what we'll do is we'll start with that match, then we'll jump to the main event and work our way down. How about that? Okay, because I think we need to start with Gabe Kidd and Tomohiro Ishii going to a time limit draw for the New Japan Strong Openweight title. So of course, this was Gabe Kidd's first match post Wrestle Dynasty, which was an absolute blow away, match of the year contender that he had with Kenny Omega. So everyone was excited. When I say everyone, pump the brakes there, Warren. I was very excited to see how Gabe was going to follow up on that, and seeing him partnered up with Tomohiro Ishii gave me a lot of confidence, because old Tom is still to this day one of the top wrestlers on planet Earth, in this company as well, like absolutely in this company, who always knows what the mandate is. He knows what to do. Like this guy is a veteran. Look, we talk, as I did earlier before, we talk a lot about the loss of Okada and Ospreay, and the 2010 era stars of New Japan, all fading away, and how difficult it is. But here we have Tomohiro Ishii, who is still going on a super high level, who's still like delivering top tier matches. However, I believe that we're going to reach a point, I don't want to say soon because I don't know, but we're going to reach a point where Ishii is not going to be able to go anymore. And this is something else we're going to have to bemoan. This is something else that we're going to have to sit back and ponder. What kind of gaping hole New Japan is going to have without a guy like Ishii. And what I mean by a guy like Ishii is someone who can always deliver in whatever spot you put him in. A guy who can work the mid card or the upper mid card constantly and still always provide top tier, exciting matches on levels that even a lot of the younger guys are unable to do. And then take the younger guys and show them what this next level looks like, what it feels like, what it feels in New Japan to shift gears and have, a crushing match. That's going to be another big loss for the company. And it's going to be happening. I don't want to be a doomer here, but Tomohiro Ishii right now is 49 years old. He's like 2 years younger than I am. There's going to reach a point sooner than later where old Tom is not going to be able to go as hard as he can. And I promise this is going to be, unless again, they're able to find the guy who's able to do that. And one would argue that they have that guy in Shingo. But Shingo and Tom are nonetheless, like, they're two different styles. They're two different beasts, nonetheless. You saw it again. You match Ishii up with a guy who has the passion, who has the fire, who has the cliche fighting spirit, and suddenly the match like elevates to an entirely different level. It's just completely cuckoo bonkers. And I love this match. I love this match a lot. A whole hell of a lot. I thought this was great. And it's pretty much what you expected it to be. Two guys just like chopping each other, laying into each other. So many shots, big chops to the chest. Everyone's chest is disgustingly red and glowing because of the unnatural amount of beating that they're taking. There's moves that are happening. Tomohiro Ishii does a dragon suplex and Gabe Kidd does a brain buster, but they're just slugging their way in. They're just slugging their way in. Now, at some point, the house commentator announces that there's 5 minutes left to the match, and I go, there we go. This is why they started with this match, because arguably, the strong openweight title is the US title. So usually that would have been the one to finish. I'm like, you want to bet this is going time, and they didn't want to end the show on a match going time. And I kind of went, all right, okay, let's see where this goes, kind of thing. I guess I wasn't excited about it, But those last 5 minutes of the match were just absolutely tremendous. They just keep hammering each other, right? Gabe Kidd pulls out the octopus hold again. He's the spiritual successor to Antonio Inoki, if you didn't know. He lands a pile driver. Ishii won't stay down. Gabe hits the rebound lariat and another pile driver, and we have 1 minute left. They pummel each other some more. Look, we're counting down to 20 seconds. Like, the timekeeper is basically like building the drama here. But Ishii finally lands the vertical drop brain buster, but he lands it a little too late. Can't get to the cover. Ref calls the match. It's a time limit draw. I'm a simple man. I don't necessarily, sometimes it doesn't take much for me to get really excited about a professional wrestling match. You don't need a lot of hoopla. Sometimes you just need two exciting, passionate, big brawlers beating the piss out of each other for 30 minutes. Beating the absolute piss out of each other for 30 full minutes for my enjoyment. Just so that I can be entertained during that time. And this connected. This worked. This is right up my alley. Hard-hitting, physical, like everyone focused on one thing on the match, right? And there were even moments in this match where I'm like, oh, are they getting a little hot? Are they getting a little excited? Because at some point, Gabe Kidd goes to the floor and he's like shoving the barricade, as they're in the midst of one of these slugfests that they have. And he goes to the floor and he's like, come on, Ishii, like, come right here on the floor. But Ishii's like, no, I'm staying here. And he's pointing to the lion mark. And it's like, oh, is that interesting? Like Ishii's like, no, we're not going to the floor. I don't want to do that. I don't know if they were, and you know what? If it wasn't, and it's just like me reading into stuff, all right, that's cool. But if it was, that's fine. Like if it was just a little heat, a little, the guy's getting a little hot around the collar, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Great performance here. A great match. Everyone should go out of their way to see this. This was a blast. This really was a blast. I give it 4.5 stars. Now, the thing that I find a little odd, the thing I find a little weird is that after the match, Gabe Kidd challenges Tomohiro Ishii to a 30-minute last man standing match, right? Now, this comes across as a little odd. It's a little strange, if you ask your boy Warren, because we just saw a match between the two go 30 minutes and no one could get a pin or a submission. If anything, the last man standing match should go the full 60 because clearly in the first 30 minutes, there's a very fair chance that no one gets a pinfall or a submission. So I don't know why they have time to change, of course, right? Yeah, but I mean, to be perfectly honest, like they're setting this up for Windy City Riot. They have time to change this around from 30 minutes, from a 30-minute time limit to the 60, which really does make a lot more sense. Because going 30, we just saw the 30-minute match and no one couldn't get the upper hand. What, you're going to tell me that the next time they meet, suddenly they're going to be able to go two pinfalls to one? They'll be able to score 3 pinfalls in 30 minutes when they just had one 30-minute match and they couldn't do a single one? Like, wouldn't the logic be, okay, let's extend this to double the time and let's see what happens, right? Isn't that it? That's how. But look, I agree that there's, it requires balls to do a 60-minute Iron Man match from the guys, but from the promoter as well, where it's basically, yeah, we're going to sacrifice an entire hour of the show to this one match. So that requires guts to do. I don't know if New Japan of America wants to do that, but I think it's weird. I just think it's strange. Or, just don't do the Iron Man stip. That's also something. That's all. You could just rerun this match with these two guys again, just no stipulation, no goofy nonsense. You could just rerun this again. Anyway, this was tremendous. Did I say 4.5 stars? Did I say that I gave it 4.5 stars? I'll say it again if I did. If I did, I'll say it again regardless. 4.5. I love this and I was like, oh shit, is this show going to crater moving forward? But no, thankfully it didn't. It really did not. So let's go to the main event then, where El Desperado successfully retained the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship against Taiji Ishimori. Look, I don't know how much stuff I need to talk about here. This match was really good. It was very, very good. It was really, truly a top tier match by two world-class wrestlers. But they have run this match so much that I don't even, it's hard for me to get into, where it's like, I've seen this match so many times. I have seen El Desperado and Taiji Ishimori so many times that it just can't captivate me anymore. There's always the question in the back of your mind that, well, is Ishimori going to win? Because Ishimori is a pushed guy. He's a protected guy in the junior division. So there was that specter that was looming, where, sitting down to, the match starts and the guys are coming to the ring, and I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to go with Ishimori immediately after El Desperado winning the title. I wouldn't be surprised in the least, but they didn't. El Desperado retained. And here's the thing. I don't want to give the impression that this match was not good, because it was. Look, I gave it 4 stars, but it's probably the most unpassionate 4 stars I'm probably going to give this year. It's like I didn't see anything remarkable. I didn't see anything that didn't scream Ishimori, Despe, next level. They're fine. They're fine doing what they do. They're two of the best in the world. But I kind of feel there's a lot of playing the hits, especially when it comes to Ishimori, who in the match at multiple times, I feel he's just like, he's doing his routines, and which is fine. Again, like, every wrestler has patterns. Every wrestler has, a suite of moves or sequences that they string together. I'm not complaining about that specifically. I'm just like, I've seen all of this before, especially in the context of these two guys. The match ends with I think it was a Tiger Driver, right? And a Pinche Loco by El Desperado for the win. He did both. And Ishimori, not the same guy. Ishimori landed like his bloody cross, and he did his stuff. And at the very least, this is a good thing that I can say outright, that I'm like, oh, okay, this is fun. Ishimori came to work. He had his working boots on and was ready to go. Because there's multiple times that we have seen, low effort Taiji Ishimori and low effort Taiji Ishimori. It's not great. It kind of drags you down. It's not exciting stuff. But in this case, he showed up with, again, surprising, because a lot of the times when he's doing shows outside of Japan, he sort of wings it, or, the least amount of effort. The guy's a worker. You got to give him that. But yeah, no, this was good. This was good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really funny. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars, and I thought it was really funny after the match when El Desperado's going around the ring to take selfies with the ringside audience. He's just like he's skipping over people. Like, okay, compare this to Strong Style Evolved when Mercedes Moné won, Mercedes is going around the ring and she's stopping for everyone. And she's giving just a tiny bit of interaction. She says, yeah, I'll do it, and she smiles and whatever. Despe, he's just walking and he stops and he does the same face to everyone, and then he moves to the next person and does the same face, and he's skipping over some people too. In the back of my mind, I'm like, he's probably thinking right now, you know what? This is actually worth $25, or 50, whatever. This is like a $50 autograph here. What are we doing here? You should be paying for this. He just wanted to get backstage. He did not want to hang around the San Jose crowd taking selfies for 8 minutes. As opposed to, to Mercedes, it's just very striking when they do that. Mercedes, she really takes her time and takes pictures with everyone who's there. She really takes all the time in the world to do it. So I thought that was, I just thought that was funny as a final note here to this match. Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Hechicero. The IWGP title was not on the line. Look, this is exactly what you thought it would be. And that's awesome. They're focusing, they're doing holds and grappling, and they're twisting the other guy into these knots. And what was fun about this match is that it really did feel like a struggle for both guys to try and lock on holds and keep them in there. And, the reversals weren't clean and crisp all the time. And I thought that added a little level of realism to the match where at some moments they're just desperately trying to get out of the holds. They're trying to do anything they can. So you're sitting there, you're going, what the hell are they trying to do? And you're like, oh, they're just fucking around with each other's limbs, which is a weird sentence to say, by the way. But nonetheless, that's exactly what was going on. And I really, really, really enjoyed this. Of course, there's strikes and there's power moves by Hechicero. In fact, Hechicero got a lot of offense in here. Zack was very, very, very giving. He gave him a lot of stuff. There's probably someone out there that's upset that the IWGP World Champion gave so much to a guy who wasn't actually even challenging for the belt. There's this great, Hechicero has a great escape from a surfboard at some point as well. And you know what? Doing a surfboard, you're Zack Sabre Jr. and doing a surfboard on a big dude like Hechicero could not be easy, right? There's this great sequence where Hechicero is struggling to get out of this of one of Zack's knots, right? And Zack is holding on to his limbs and he's moving him around. He's shifting his body. Like I said, felt like a struggle. And in this sequence here, Zack is really trying to keep him from reaching the ropes. But at some point, Hechicero just suddenly, whoop, he just grabs out of nowhere. He sees the opportunity and he doesn't do, you know what I mean? He doesn't do where the wrestler raises their hand dramatically, and it stays there, and then 1, 2, 3, and then they drop down and they grab the rope, and then everyone sort of relief, and then the referee asks for the break. It's Hechicero was just he saw an opportunity and he grabbed it immediately, and I'm this is so cool. This was really, really, really good. Bunch of roll-up attempts between the two, and Zack lucks out, I guess you'd say, with the European clutch to get the win over Hechicero, which was incredible fun. Just an incredibly fun match, a great match. 4.25 stars from me. See, we're on the 4-star parade here, folks. Let me tell you. And I'm the Grandmaster. I should wear a hat. I should wear a 4-star top hat, like a good Grandmaster should, like a Ringmaster. More like a Ringmaster. I think I'm thinking Ringmaster as opposed to Grandmaster. But Grandmasters have a sash, right? They have a sash and they have some kind of walking cane. They have a stick. They have a staff, whatever it is, right? So I think I should get a staff. I think I should be the 4-star Grand Parade. Let me say that again. I should be the 4-star Parade Grandmaster, and I need a staff. And the staff at the very tip of the staff, it has a 4 on it to indicate the 4 stars minimum, bare minimum 4 stars. That's all we have in this parade, folks. Anyway, Zack Sabre Jr. hit Chisero was a lot of fun. Yeah, like it was tremendous. And then after the match, Zack Sabre Jr. seems to have challenged Hechicero because there wasn't any mic work, and they were, Zack had the belt and he was flaunting it and he was pointing at, the lion mark, basically seeming to establish that he wants to fight Hechicero for the title in New Japan again, and probably in Japan. And look, Fantastica Mania is coming up. So that kind of seems like a match that's coming. Now, the weird thing is that Hechicero just lost a fucking match, a non-title match against the champion. You could absolutely say, back of the line, back of the line with you, sorcerer. It's, that I will concur that it's a little strange. However, if you consider that it's the champion making, champion's discretion, he can challenge whoever the hell he wants, then that's fine. Like it's a little weird, but it's not going to look. Am I going to sit here and complain that we're getting another Hechicero Zack Sabre Jr. match? No. Now you're just talking crazy stuff. There's no way I'm going to bitch about that. Hey, and they almost went 25 minutes on this. Second longest match of the night. This ruled. Like it was fantastic. It was fantastic. And it's the kind of match that I feel like even if you're not into, grappling, wrestling all that much, I still think that there's enough drama and grittiness to it to come across, because it's not a clean match. Like it's not a slickly executed match between like two high level technical wrestlers. Like it's not Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr., right? Which is an amazing match. Don't get me wrong. I love that match as well. But this one had more, but Zack Sabre Jr. and Danielson was clean, just two guys executing moves perfectly. Like it was straight up a clean, tidy, well executed wrestling match. This one was a little grittier. I don't want to say sloppy, because it didn't feel sloppy. It felt like a struggle. It felt like a fight. It felt like two guys who are really just looking to twist the other dude into knots and, make him cry for help. That's what I thought was really great about this match. So 4.25 stars for that one. Let's keep going down this train of 4.25 star matches. Konosuke Takeshita defeated Kushida to retain the never open weight title. You know what? I am so impressed with Kushida's work for about a year now. I think he's been really good. And this is a guy who, once he came back from that failed excursion in NXT, I thought was very ordinary, very mid. I didn't see what Kushida really brought to the table anymore. And I think New Japan kind of saw it that way as well. But I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that every opportunity he has had to wrestle in New Japan over the past year, throughout 2024, I should say, every opportunity he's had, he has ensured that he gave it his all. And there's a fierceness to what he does. There's a snap that has returned to everything he does, putting a lot of detractors, admittedly like myself, to question themselves as to whether or not, did Kushida ever lose it, or was he just like not motivated? And I feel like he's very motivated. And this aggression that he has, it's interesting because there was a rumor going around that Kushida wanted to have a heel run. He wanted to come back to New Japan and wanted to have a heel run. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think he got injured, and that kind of derailed plans because New Japan was like, okay, sure, let's give it a try. And but he got injured and the plans were derailed since. So I kind of think that maybe what we're seeing here, I'm not saying like these are necessarily the seeds of a Kushida heel turn. What I'm saying is Kushida here is absolutely 100%. It seems that Kushida here it seems that maybe like this aggression was part of the heel stuff he wanted to do. He's just naturally doing what he wanted to do in the first place, and it's working. Like, I'm so impressed with his work. Yeah, he's always been good, but honestly, they're a couple of years in, after the NXT release, and I'm like, I don't know what this guy has to bring to the table anymore. Now, I'm a little more excited for Kushida matches. When at New Year Dash, he called out Takeshita, I was like, hell yeah, let's go. I wasn't groaning. I wasn't going, oh my God, what? It wasn't the same type of vibe as, oh, we're getting El Desperado and Taiji Ishimori again. That's a vibe in and about itself. Here I was like, okay, yes, let's see what Kushida can do with, one of the best wrestlers on earth right now. And this was great. This was another absolutely fantastic match that I wish we got more out of, but it didn't overstay its welcome. It was hard hitting. It was smartly put together. Like Kushida clearly, positioned as the underdog in size, weight. So, he's working the arm. He's trying to pick at the legs of Takeshita. But Takeshita, man, he's just too much of a beast, too much of the alpha, right? I'm watching this with Kristen at some point, and she was just a little bit ahead of me. She was, of course, watching from the US, and I was watching here. So we were watching the same stream, but her stream seemed to have been coming in a little earlier than mine. So she was reacting to stuff before I actually got to see it. So at some point she goes, oh, and she was reacting to the Blue Thunder Bomb spot, right? And the Blue Thunder Bomb spot hits, and she tells me, she says, oh, I thought you were going to react more to the Blue Thunder Bomb spot. I mean, it's a Blue Thunder Bomb. Like, until someone actually wins a match with a Blue Thunder Bomb, after years of Sami Zayn, driving it into the ground as, and people always popping for the Blue Thunder Bomb, but the Blue Thunder Bomb does nothing. The Blue Thunder Bomb doesn't create, you don't win matches with it. Who is the last person who won a match with the Blue Thunder Bomb? I'm sure someone out there is probably going to say, well, Warren, there was this wrestler, so on and so forth. So I don't get, I don't pop out of my seat for Blue Thunder Bombs anymore. I'm like, it's a cool fucking move. Looks good, looks great actually. But I just don't pop for it anymore. Anyway, so Takeshita, of course, is the big strong lad. And, okay, so he goes to the top rope, does a top rope senton, but Kushida moves out of the way just at the very last minute and super precise, grabs onto Takeshita's arm as he's landing into an arm bar. But Takeshita powers out of that, okay, gets Kushida up on his shoulders into a fireman's carry, and then from the fireman's carry into a bastard driver, which was tremendous. And I'm like, this guy rules. Now, usually what he does is the wheelbarrow suplex after that, which he didn't do, which kind of disappointed me. But nonetheless, Kushida worked it, he had a solid game plan to try and take the strength away by targeting the arm, going after the legs. He does, he stomps the knee at some point, jumping off the apron, just like, aggressive, fierce stuff, which I really like. Then Kushida follows up by doing a leg lock on the floor, and the referee's counting to, doing the 20 count, and we get a razor thin beating of the 20 count by Takeshita because Kushida leaves him there like till the count of 18. Then Kushida lets go, jumps into the ring, and Takeshita makes it at 19.9. Like really the referee should have counted to 20, but that wasn't the finish and he didn't want to ruin everything. So it was super, super super, super close, like a hairline close. It was tremendous. It was fantastic stuff. Of course, he wins. He being Takeshita wins with the Raging Fire. I think that's what. Why can't I never? I think that's it, right? It's the Raging Fire, Rampaging Fire. I don't know why I can't remember the name of this move. But look, 4 1/4. Let's go. Nothing but great stuff so far. Kensuke Takeshita, after his match, grabs the microphone and outright challenges Hiroshi Tanahashi for a match at Battle Windy City Riot in Chicago in April. We already knew that Tanahashi was going to be on the show, and it had already been advertised as Tanahashi's last US match, I should say. Maybe not appearance, but his last US match. And I'm like, wait a minute. Hang on a second. This rules. Like, this is tremendous. And the more I started thinking about it, it's like the New Japan Pro Wrestling office must really, 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 really like Kensuke Takeshita to let this happen. For them to put him as the guy who's going to wrestle Hiroshi Tanahashi for the last time in the United States. And I'm convinced that it's a big deal for him personally. That he's like, okay, this is a tremendous honor. And this all ties into what I've been saying in regards to Takeshita recently, where I'm like, man, this New Japan contract and stuff, it's really starting to feel like this is some kind of soft jump. That New Japan is preparing the terrain for a full-on welcoming of Kensuke Takeshita full-time to the company in whatever time it will take for the AEW contract to expire. And I cannot be more of a fan of this because I've talked about it enough. I've talked about it on the reviews for Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty. And, I'm starting to turn into a broken record here, but New Japan right now absolutely could need. New Japan right now absolutely needs a guy like Kensuke Takeshita, who is big, athletic, and who is a fantastic wrestler on top of that, who understands how to put together big, dramatic, exciting, physical matches with whoever he's in the ring against. And I think there is a top guy spot waiting for him there. I think this is a guy who could draw for the company. I think this is a guy who could draw for New Japan. AEW, I mean, he's great and all, and we've been treated to some fantastic matches in New Japan, in AEW with him. But I think I don't see his progression going anywhere else. Is he going to be world championship material? Is he a guy that you would strap the title to? I would, but would Tony do? Between right now, and ultimately not that far off. You've got Will Ospreay, you've got Kazuchika Okada, you've got Hangman Page, you've got Kenny Omega, you've got all these guys. You're going to go back to Swerve at some point too. You've got all these guys in this upper crust, this upper echelon of world champions. Where does he fit in this, right? Where I could absolutely see Kensuke Takeshita being the top guy in the company and being that guy for a while. So they're really trotting out the red carpet for him. They're really, really trying. They're really, really trotting that out. They really are. It's phenomenal, if you ask me. I would not be surprised in the least if Takeshita's time in AEW really is counted and they're counting it down, and some kind of arrangement was put together so that, this 1-year contract that Takeshita signed with New Japan. I'm sure maybe this was like, partners being good partners, and New Japan saying, yeah, you know what? You can hang on to him for a year. You can sign him for a year now, and he'll go work for you. Like, maybe Tony's like, I don't know exactly how to book this guy. I don't know what exactly to do more with him, and that's fine. I think Takeshita's reality is with New Japan. His dream is going to come true and wrestle full-time for New Japan. I'm convinced at this point. Hiromu Takahashi, Mayu Iwatani, and Yuka Sakazaki defeated Sumie Sakai, Evil, and Sho in Sumie Sakai's retirement match. So, yeah, I'm going to preface this by saying I personally have no real attachment to Sumie Sakai. So I was not watching this match teary-eyed or, oh, what a great career and I'm not saying that she was not deserving of this type of send-off. I think she was. She's impacted so many people and so many wrestlers throughout her career that it makes a lot of sense. But, it's like I was appreciative of this, and I was like, okay, this is cool. This will be nice. Let's see how far this goes, kind of thing. But to tell you like that I was misty-eyed or that it hit me in the feels or whatever it is, no. But, I can appreciate the event. I can appreciate what they did. I can appreciate the match and what it was and the vibes and whatever. But like I just want to preface this. I don't have any personal. I don't have any personal great attachment to Sumie Sakai or her career, And that lovely noise that happened in the background was my dog, who accidentally tipped over the a lid from a container, from a box that was on the floor, and she lost her mind because she doesn't like it when inanimate objects start moving. Then again, who does really? Anyway, look, the story here was that Sumie kind of felt like that they're still good in Evil. They're still good in Sho, which is weird to say they're still good in Evil, but that there's still a good side. These, she sort of remembers, the young upstarts that she helped and took care of in at the start of their career when they were on excursion. But, there are a couple of assholes now to the point that they even attack Sumie during the match. So this whole team is entirely in shambles. And ultimately, what this leads to throughout some fun spots, some good vibes, even some crowd participation at some point. What this all leads to is Sumie all by herself. She's literally abandoned by Evil and Sho at some point. So she, starts slugging Yuka and Mayu and Hiromu one after the other in the ring, just landing forearms over and over again. And they're like, yes, come on, beat us up, beat us up, beat us up. But then, of course, when they start fighting back, well, they start landing a bunch of strikes and moves. She kicks out. She's kicking out of stuff. So what does the team do? What do they do? Well, I'll tell you what they do. They all land their finishers, and then Hiromu gets the final pin on Sumie Sakai while saying thank you, Sumie, and that wraps it up. I thought this was a perfect vibes match that was meant to be a feel-good moment, some levity, a little bit of nonsense, but something that put the focus on creating a nice send-off for Sumie. I don't know how well she can wrestle these days. I haven't seen her wrestle in years, so I don't know how much she can go or not. What she did was absolutely fine. Like there was, she didn't look lost. She didn't look like, she didn't come across poorly. Everything was designed for everyone in this match to enjoy themselves and celebrate the send-off of Sumie Sakai, who is wrapping up her career. So, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. Hard to rate, okay? Because like I said, there's so much non-wrestling going on and so much, just good times and, like I said, vibes happening. And it's just like, okay, well, let's, if I'm just sticking with that, this is a 4-star match and, you can sue me for it. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this tremendously. I thought it was well executed. It didn't come across as, a big old cluster. It was smartly put together. I enjoyed it. And then afterwards, they did a whole ceremony where they had the rosters come out. When I say the roster, I meant the roster come out, at least most of it, right? A lot of people, I guess, who felt attached, to Sumie in one way or another. Shout out to Evil and Show, who did not come out, which, good for them. Propagate the gimmick. That's important. And they let Sumie talk, and she's given flowers, and Hiromu gives her a jacket, and I believe it's one of Hiromu's earlier jackets, if I'm not mistaken. It seems to me, right? I don't quote me on this, but I feel like this is like one of Hiromu's earliest jackets, and I think he gifted it to Sumie, and it's just a lovely send off and a fun little match that was really enhanced by the importance of the moment for Sumie Sakai and her fans. I thought it was a lovely send off. There's a lot of context for this match, where I'm not gonna, I'm probably not going to talk about this match as one of my favorites of the year, but watching this, this is really nice and this is well done and this is a lot of fun. So, yeah, let's give it 4 stars. El Fantasmo and Jeff Cobb went to a double count out. So we had 2 title matches on the show that ended without a proper decision. I like this match a lot. I also thought it was really good. Maybe not as good as some of the other matches we saw on this night, but this was a lot of fun. Again, a blast of a match. Where ELP standing up to Cobb, but Cobb, of course, he's too strong, and ELP has to get a little wily. He tries to lift Jeff Cobb at some point, but can't, of course. Eventually does, though. Picks him up and does the UFO. Does the Thunder Kiss 86. But Cobb fights back and lands a drop kick. Cobb is on the floor. ELP does a suicide dive that propels Cobb over the railing onto the floor. And it seemed a little contrived, and I was like, we're trying too hard here. But actually, this was really important because of how everything ensued from that point on. So Cobb is on the floor on the other side of the barricade, so in the audience, literally, and ELP jumps off the turnbuckle post and launches himself onto Cobb all the way onto the floor, which is a spot ELP does from time to time. And I don't get tired of seeing it. I think it's really cool and very impressive. And then, they sort of fight on the floor a little bit as the referee is doing the 20 count. And ELP finally gets the upper hand and is making his way to the top, to the ring, excuse me. And just before he hits the ring, you got Jeff Cobb in the background who grabs a young, a dojo guy. I was going to say a young lion. Well, I guess a dojo guy, and launches the kid, just launches him wholesale at ELP. The kid lands on Phantasmo, who collapses on the floor and can't make the 20 count. So the match ends in the double count out, which is hilarious. I love that finish. That finish was really tremendous and super creative. I don't think I've ever seen that. And it works for Cobb, right? Because, he's a beast and he should be able to throw guys around willy-nilly. I loved it. I thought it was a blast as far as the finish goes. They want to keep fighting, of course, because they didn't want this to finish on the draw. But referee's like, I can't help you, boys. I can't. Nothing I can do. I'm just a referee. I don't book matches. Imagine that. Then we had the 8-woman tag team elimination match. We're going full-on Survivor Series mode here, where Viva Van and the Empress Nexus Venus team of Mina Shirakawa, Maika, and Hanako defeated Anna Jay, Azumi, Johnny Robbie, and Trish Adora. Yeah, this wasn't a bad match. This wasn't, I want to preface this, I gave it 3 stars flat. But I think this was the worst match of the show. I don't have many notes. I was a little surprised that Maika on North American soil got the final pin, eliminating Anna Jay. Well, pin. She knocked her out of the ring over the top rope. Wasn't exactly a pinfall, but I'm surprised because Mina's basically the she's a well-known commodity now to North American stars, fans, I should say. Everyone knows who she is, and she's beloved. I thought that was an interesting move. I think Mina is fine. Maika is the better wrestler overall. I'm a big fan of Maika. I think she's tremendous. So I guess that's my main note. It was fine. It was fine. Trish Adora seemed to have gotten hurt at some point in the match. Early on, she was dragged to take to do a tag to let someone to get someone else in as she got checked over by the doctor. She was out of action for a substantial amount of the match, and then she got eliminated a little weirdly. Not too weird, but something felt off. I hope she's okay. I hope she's all right. Maybe she just got her bell rung. Could be a lot of things. But it didn't seem too severe is the point that I'm trying to make. So hopefully it's not. A 3-star match. And then the West Coast Wrecking Crew successfully retained their strong open weight tag team titles against Rocky Romero and Yo, calling themselves Roppongi Revice. Sure. I gave this 3.25 stars. I am clearly much higher than a lot of people on the West Coast Wrecking Crew. A lot of people are super down on them. I think I might be a little on the upside. I think their work is pretty good usually, and I thought they're really leaning into, like, they're doing a really good job leaning into these big beefy meathead heels that just do big power stuff and throw people around. It's like, I'm into that. I don't know, it works. It works. I think people give them a bit of a hard time because they're such a staple of the strong brand, of the New Japan in America brand, and they never do anything else anywhere. Like they've never had a proper New Japan tour, in Japan. So it's like, oh, it's another West Coast Wrecking Crew match. And for a while it was kind of like that, especially when they were in this incessant feud with Fred Rosser and Filthy Tom Lawler. Like that needed to come to an end. And it was always, oh, well, it's, I had started joking about it here that it's not a New Japan strong show if Fred Rosser, Tom Lawler, and the West Coast Wrecking Crew don't fight each other. So, at least now they're moving on. They're doing other stuff. I thought this match was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I mean, I don't have tons of notes, but in fact, those are the notes. I thought it was pretty good. 3.25 star from me. So there you have it. Like, this was a super entertaining show. And they're already setting stuff up for Windy City Riot, which clearly they're setting up to be a big show. They're setting up Windy City Riot. Feels that they're setting Windy City Riot up for a big show. So I'm excited to see how all this shakes out. But in the meantime, go ahead and watch this show. I think there's a little bit for everyone here. If you consider, that this is a buffet, you've got a little something for everyone here. You absolutely have stuff that is going to be more of someone that's going to be more of your speed than other stuff on the card. but you will not be bored. I don't think this is the opposite of a boring show. This was a lot of fun and some great action, lots of top level matches with some. I don't have anything bad to say about this show. This show was very, very good and is one of my favorite shows of the year so far. How about that? How about that? Yeah. So we'll wrap it up on that. How about that?